All right. Well, welcome to another episode in the Run Breiter Podcast. This is episode number 26. It's crazy. Time is flying. And I'm really excited to say, bringing on an awesome guest today. Today we have on Tyler Swartz. Now, Tyler and I, we actually met over in a shakeout run that was organized by Matt Choi prior to the New York City Marathon. And really great meeting you there, Tyler. You just seemed like a really enthusiastic, fun guy. So I was really excited to meet you there and followed your TikTok page. And damn, you have some really great positive content. I really enjoy watching it. And so I really want to dig into your story and just what motivates you and share a lot of great value with the community today. So first of all, how's everything going for you today here, Tyler?
Things are great. I went for a run this morning, so I can't really complain. When I run in the morning, I feel like the rest is gravy, and I ride that high throughout the rest of the day. So it's about 7:30 right now, and I'm still buzzing.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, getting that run in for sure, it's gonna bring in those, extra dopamine rushes throughout the day. So I'm glad you got your morning run in. But yeah, I would love for you to give like a introduction to the community of who you are. Of course, I know, we have you have your page, but want to hear like what led you to make that, maybe talk about like I know you're in New York City, like your background from where you're from, what you do for full-time work on the side, different stuff like that, and what you're passionate about with fitness.
Sure. Hey, everyone, my name's Tyler, and I'm pumped to be here. Sam, this is awesome. And we did have an awesome shakeout run before New York City. I obviously didn't run it, but it was just cool to hang out and be with everyone.
Yeah.
This is awesome. I've been running for maybe 3 years now, but I think before that, I grew up in Boston. I used to watch the Boston Marathon with my family every single year, and it was like kind of a big tradition for my family. We would go to the Red Sox game on Patriots Day, which is a holiday in Massachusetts, so there's no school. We'd go to the Red Sox game, and then the end of the game would leak out into the Boston Marathon. So I would go watch with my family, and where Fenway Park is and the course in Boston is like mile 23-ish, like 24. So it's really close to the finish line. And I remember as like an 8-year-old kid watching the runners at the very end of the race, kind of grinding it out. And I said, man, one day I'm going to do this. So that's kind of what piqued my interest about running. That was 20 plus years ago now. And ever since I've kind of had that in the back of my mind. And then maybe I think it was 2019, my friend Sam Tillotson mentioned that he was going to run the New York City Marathon. We'd been living in New York for a few years, and he said, we're going to do it for a charity that me and him are both really involved with. And I said, screw it, let's do it. I wasn't running at all at the time. I probably hadn't logged more than a couple hundred miles in the past decade. And we signed up and we got accepted into an amazing program called Nike Project Moonshot, which was life-changing experience. They brought 500 plus runners from New York City into a program, and they basically said, what are your goals and what are your aspirations and how can we help you achieve them? They brought pacers. They swagged us out. I'm like a Nike loyalist now, so I only wear Nike products. And it was a life-changing experience. 3 in-person group runs a week. I met some people that I'm still super close with that I text on a regular basis. And that kind of catapulted me into the running world. And I haven't looked back since.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. And I've honestly never heard of that program. Is that still going on for anyone who may be interested in getting involved in something like that for a future New York City Marathon?
I got to check in with the folks that set it up. I think COVID might have disbanded the program, but if they do it, it's a super competitive application. I have no idea why they chose my name, and it was the best experience ever. So I really hope they do it again, because it turned a lot of individuals like myself that didn't consider themselves runners into people that are really passionate about running, and they helped so many people achieve their goals. And I still speak about it, how it was such a life-changing experience for myself. So I can't say good enough things about what they did, and the people over there are incredible.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I'm so glad you're able to get involved with that and then build those connections, but also now you have a life where you're obviously treating running as a serious passion and you really enjoy it and you're connecting with more people on a daily basis, which is great. I'm curious though, like because it's interesting, a lot of people who I speak with who are around our age, I assume you're in your mid 20s right now, just like me, normally they come from some sort of athletic background to then go from that into marathon training. I think without that, it's a little bit difficult to get right into marathon training. So what's your background as far as like athletics go? Were you a competitive athlete growing up or anything like that? Or
Yeah, so I took sports pretty seriously growing up in like my middle school, high school days. I played football, basketball, and baseball for my high school, and it was the most like transformational experience for me as an adolescent because I got to be myself around my peers, and being part of a team kind of was my identity. And I learned more about myself from grinding it out, the long bus rides with other people to away games, the locker room, just like the showers, like the small little interactions that I had with my team were really important to me in the kind of the sports world. And I never was the best player on any of the teams, but I happened to make the teams, and I happened to be a locker room guy, and I happened to excel just because of like the vibes of the team and the locker room, the camaraderie, and those things I've carried through. And if you followed any of my TikToks recently, you know that I'm taking that team energy and bringing it to running. So it's kind of come full circle for me.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think running for a very long time has been, for a lot of people, viewed as it's a very individual sport. But I think, especially with the increase in social media being associated with running, it's led to so many more people wanting to get together and run together and have these great experiences together, which is why I think like running, it's such a great area to be in, whether you're just doing it casually or you have big goals with it. But yeah, let's jump into that, the community that you're bringing together. Talk about the Endorphins project. What led to you making this? Obviously, it sounds like you had that motivation from being someone who really enjoyed being part of that team. But at a high level, like what led you to make that? We'll start with that.
Sure. So I kind of touched on it a little. Being part of a team was super important to me growing up. It kind of was my identity. I was always part of the team. I was always on the team. And while I wasn't the best player, I always make cracking the jokes and making sure the locker room vibes were important, like in high energy and making sure that everyone felt like they're part of something. And, then I transitioned to Project Moonshot, where I was with 500 other runners. So my identity as a runner never was individual. I was always surrounded by other people that were vulnerable. They were sharing their goals. We were working really hard, and we all wanted the same thing. And when you surround yourself with people that share that same interest and are vulnerable and want the same thing, good things happen, right? So I've trained for 3 marathons solo now, and I realized like that isn't the same experience that kind of made me who I am. And we went for a group run together with Matt and Kerry Clark and Dan Corman and Antoine and a few other individuals, and that made me realize how important it is to be around other people when you're grinding it out and when you're working and being around other people. If you can bring people that share the same interests together, good things happen. You want to surround yourself with people that are going to push you and hold you accountable and really make sure that you're kind of working. And this morning I didn't want to run, but I knew that there were 20 people out there in the freezing cold that were relying on me, and that pushed me, right? And I'm sure that same feeling helped another person get there this morning. And that's what we're really doing with the Endorphins project, is we're trying to bring that team energy to running. And when you do run with other people, something really awesome happens. You share those vibes. That's really important. The endorphins around the social connection is really strong, and then the endorphins around the workout are really strong. And when you pair the two, I want to bottle that emotion up and put it together in this community that I'm building. And I think it's really strong. I think it's really powerful. And it's been a week, and it's been 12 days, and we have 300 members in our community, and it's growing pretty fast, which I'm astonished by. But it makes sense because everyone that comes to the group runs, they feel that endorphin energy that we're talking about. And my guess is, just like me, when I come home, I go to my coworkers and say, I had an amazing run this morning. It was an awesome time. I'm sure when people go to their office or their group text, they said similar things. Like, that was an electric experience that I had. I ran with people that I didn't necessarily know, but they all pushed me and I became better because of it. That's what we're trying to do. And I think that's why it's growing.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. I mean, I think it's insane though that obviously we're in New York City, so that doesn't hurt, but even so, to get a few hundred members of an organization that you made from social media, right? Like, really, TikTok was the way in which you spread the word for this.
Yep.
Get a few hundred people to join so quickly. I mean, it blows my mind, truthfully. So kudos to you, man. And I know I haven't made it out yet, but I'm definitely going to start coming now that, I just finished my New York City Marathon training experience. Obviously ran that race 2 weeks ago. I'm looking to get back into that community type of running lifestyle. So I really look forward to seeing what that project's all about and seeing what the vibes are like there.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
That's
ahead.
awesome. I would love to have you come. the whole point of the group is there's no agenda or any direction really. It's all community led, meaning every single person in the group has a say in what happens next, which actually makes it a little exciting. We did a community vote. I don't know if you participated. I think you might have.
I
We
think I
did a
did. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw your name come through. And really what that shows is like the people in the group actually own the group. It's like everyone has a say, everyone has a voice. And I think that's exciting for myself because I have no idea what to expect, but it gives everyone an equal playing field. And I think that's also resonates with a lot of people. Like this isn't a competition. There's no ego. We're trying to be super inclusive. And when you keep that in mind, like a lot of the run clubs in New York City and across the US are extremely unapproachable because they're super competitive. And I don't want to say use the word ego. I just think that like they're all really close knit communities, and it's hard to be an outsider in that world and kind of enter a club when it's already been established. But when everyone has a say and can have a voice in the direction of where it's going, I think it makes it a much more inclusive experience for everyone. And it's awesome. I think people are loving it. I'm loving it. I have no idea what to expect.
Yeah, no, that's great. So as far as people who've been showing up, like what is your typical person? Is it mostly like beginner runners you find? Is it younger runners, older runners? I mean, what's the lay of the land, so to speak, for anyone who might be interested in joining one of these sessions?
Yeah, it's a great question. We've met all different types of people, and that speaks to how inclusive just the running community is, but how in dire need we have been for something like this because most of the other programs aren't necessarily inclusive or they're unapproachable. I met a pastry chef. I met a pilot. I've met physician assistants. I've met investment bankers. I've met people in all different walks of life as individuals, but also these people have gone from ultra marathons all the way to never running a 5K before.
Wow.
And everyone wants to support each other. It's like on Strava, how people are giving each other kudos, except in real life. People want to support each other and people want to be part of each other's growth stories. And when you have that support system, good things happen. So we went for a long run on Saturday. One of the people had never run 10 miles.
Wow.
And they came out, but the group carried. The group gave them the energy, the endorphins that they needed to finish the run. And it was just an awesome experience. We also have people that are elite athletes. We have coaches in the group, and everyone wants to help everyone. I mean, it's not a surprise, right? Everyone wants to help everyone. So it's just cool that we've created a place for people to actually do that.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And I also I understand what you're saying about how some of the running clubs, the established ones, you go to them and they're like a little less approachable. I mean, I do run with a running club here and there myself, but like I think it takes a while to really integrate yourself. You got to be pretty committed to going. If you go once in a while, like you might make a friend here and there, but like you don't really have much of a say, like you said, in any of the decisions that go. You're running the workouts based on what they're doing. So it might not necessarily fit you. And some people might bounce from club to club. I've done that a little bit myself, trying to figure out what works for them. But I really love how it's more of like community led and how it's very diverse, different skill levels, things like that. So I'm really excited to really see how that all works out. Do you feel that someone though who, like, for example, is training for like a specific time-based goal, do you think the sessions you have are more like casual, just meant for like runners to be together? Maybe they should treat that as like their easy days, or do you guys split up into different pace groups and stuff like that?
Yeah, so we're working on that right now. Our first community vote asked people what their ideal pace zones were, what type of runs they would want to be doing, and we learned a lot. And I think I want to make it a really inclusive space for everyone, and I think pace is really important for that. What we've noticed is we've had 13 people raise their hands and say that they were interested in potentially leading either a pace zone or the run itself. So what that tells me is we might be able to support 3 different pace zones for a run of 20 people. We might be able to have a 7 to 8 minute pace, an 8 to 9, and a 9 to 10, or whatever that the group really needs. And we're working towards a world where the community actually creates that inclusivity for us. And I don't know what that will look like, but we're working on it, and it's going to be a challenge. But I think you're right. It's really important. And I want to support people that are training for something, or people like my friend that just came out and wanted to run 10 miles with the group and had an awesome time.
That's great, man. I absolutely love that. Very cool. Well, like I said, I'll definitely be stopping by, seeing how the vibes are there. But I do want to shift a little bit. I want to talk about your running journey a little bit more, because obviously it sounds like you've been running for 3 years. So there's probably a lot of people who can relate running in that amount of time. And I'm sure there's some good advice you could give some different people. We have a lot of beginner runners who listen to this podcast. I can confidently tell you that. So yeah, I mean, like I guess for you, now that you've been running for 3 years at this point, knowing what you've gone through over the last couple of years, what pieces of advice would you share that you think would be really helpful for someone who might be just jumping into running for the first time?
Sure. I think one, no one is a runner. So knock that imposter syndrome right out. Like, I don't consider myself a runner, and I've run 4 marathons, and I'm training for Tokyo, and I'm training for a 50-mile race. Like, I was with a friend today and I said, "Hey, do you want to go for a run?" I saw his running shoes in his apartment and he said, "I'm not a good runner." Nobody's a good runner. I think the most important thing is consistency and going out and trying.
Yep.
And, when I don't run for a couple of weeks and then try and get back out there, it's not easy. My body's just not used to being in motion. But after you go out 1 or 2 times, you go out and your body becomes more comfortable. The second thing I would say is pace does not matter. One of the most frustrating things I have as a runner is, or one of the most frustrating feelings I experience as runners, people care so much about pace, and pace really does not matter at all. It's a metric that I think we over-index on, and like, especially for beginner runners, don't go out and focus on pace. Go out and focus on feel. Go out and run for 30 minutes and don't look at your pace. Just go and run for 30 minutes and see how it feels. People typically go out way too fast, and then it makes it hard to run, and they feel like they're not good at it, and then they feel like they shouldn't be doing it at all. And that's just not a good place, a mental space for people when they're just getting started. So go out and just go for a run. That's like the best advice I could give anyone. And don't care about your speed.
Yeah, no, I love that. So for you, I mean, so far with the marathons that you've done, as well as, I know training for Tokyo, I believe also you mentioned you have a ultra marathon. Are you still training for that too?
Still training for that. I just started last week, or 2 weeks ago.
Love that. So what really drives you to doing some of these different races? Do you have time-based goals? It sounds like for you, the pace isn't as important, or is it more just getting that experience, doing those races, getting some things off your bucket list? I'd be really curious on that from your standpoint.
Yeah, so it's funny. I think running is just a piece of the puzzle for me.
Mm.
And this is kind of a newfound idea for myself. I used to run to say that I did it. And now I run because it's part of a whole suite of different things that I do for mental health, for mental well-being, for physical well-being, and professional well-being, social well-being. It's kind of a piece of a puzzle for me. And once I had that mental shift of, I don't really care about my time. I don't care about like getting it over with.
It's like when you get up and you wake up early and you get on that run, it just makes a bad day a good day. It makes rejection, whether that's in work or personal life, not really matter as much. It gives you a lot of really good perspective. But like outside of running, what are some other like pieces of the puzzle in your life, whether it's for fitness or professional, that you think, allows you to really have all that mental clarity that you shared?
Sure. Me and my friends call this the grateful lifestyle. Running is a key component, but there's so many different things that you can do to kind of embody the grateful lifestyle. I think cooking clean and healthy, eating clean and healthy is a really key component. Stretching, yoga, journaling, meditating, reading, speaking to your friends about how you feel, being vulnerable, pushing yourself outside your comfort zone are just a few examples of things that I try to do on a day-to-day basis to make sure that I'm living this grateful lifestyle. I think one also huge component of this is acts of service, trying to help other people, trying to make sure that you do one thing every day that makes someone else smile. If you can be doing that, I think you're in a really good position, because when you do these things, it compounds and you have positive energy and it attracts other people. And it's just a great place to be mentally. And I've been trying to do that. And one of the reasons why I love the Endorphins Project is because I'm helping people hit their fitness goals. I'm helping people get outside their comfort zone socially. I'm helping people get outside their comfort zone physically. And people come to me saying they're so happy that this exists. And that's my active service now. So it's awesome that I get to pair my hobby with my active service, because before it was holding a door for someone, or making a peanut butter and jelly and handing it out to a homeless person. And now it's doing what I love. I've paired what I love and acts of service together. So it's a great place to be. And here's someone slacking me.
That's great, man. I mean, I think the more positivity that you have and the more that you share, I agree. Like those days where I'm giving back, you just feel so much better, right? I mean, and I think the more people that are aware of that, it's just we're going to live in a better world from that. So I really do appreciate that advice. I do want to talk about content creation too, as well, because obviously you got your page, Swartzcenter, which, by the way, that's a great name. I can't believe you snagged that, by the way. How'd
I've
you?
had that for like 15 years on
Okay.
all platforms, everywhere.
Nice. It's brilliant. And from my end, I'm like, damn, like maybe I should have thought of that, but that's obviously not my last name. I had thought at first, like, I was like, oh, this kid probably has like different sports that he highlights and stuff, but obviously you're focused on the running, but I think it complements it well. But really, what led you to creating your personal brand and really just creating content consistently? I think you've been doing it for what, like 6 months now or so, at least on TikTok?
Way less, way
Less?
less. I've been doing it for like 70 days.
Oh my
Um,
God. Damn.
yeah, so like 2 months, a little more than 2 months. And
Came out in a lot in a short time. That's probably why I feel like I feel like I just swipe up and you come up really fast. But it's probably because I stick on the videos for a long time.
yeah, I don't know. The TikTok algorithm knows us better than we know ourselves. So, but what got me into making content, I feel like over the past 6 months, a year, I kept on saying to myself, I need to be on camera because I have so many things going on in my head that I think the world would think is either entertaining or funny or is just a different take on how other people see things. And I never had something to say. And I've had friends just being like, start making content and just start putting yourself out there. But to be honest, I didn't like the idea of being vulnerable. I didn't like the idea of putting myself out there. I didn't like being on camera. I didn't like listening to my voice. I didn't like seeing my face. I didn't like any of it. And I kept on telling my friends I wanted to do it, but I was scared. And finally, one of my friends who's in the content creation world was like, just do it, bro. Just post one video a day for 30 days and see what happens. And I had just signed up for this 50-mile marathon and I had something to talk about. So I figured I would do it and I put myself out there, and I guess the rest is history.
That's great, man. And how has your experience been with it? I mean, obviously you're still new in the game, but so far, obviously it sounds like you feel good doing it, helping people. But I mean, what are some of your key takeaways this early in the game right now about it?
Yeah, I still am really uncomfortable. I'll be totally honest. I reevaluate my entire life every day as it comes to TikTok because it's a weird thing that not a lot of people can relate to. I talk to my friends about it, my closest friends, and I tell them how I feel, but they don't necessarily do it. So it's hard to relate sometimes. And it makes me really uncomfortable. I've found a few people that I can speak to about it that are doing similar things, like having someone like you or Matt Choi or Kerry Clark or Twan, the people that we went on the run with. They were really important to me recently because they have them as an outlet and I can speak to them. Hey, like this makes me feel uncomfortable. How do you deal with it? Another thing is TikTok's a really public place and their algorithm is really crazy. So I have people that I don't think about, that I haven't thought about in 10 years, that I'll see randomly on the street and they'll say, hey, I see you on TikTok. That makes me feel really weird and uncomfortable because who knows what they're saying behind your back or how it makes you feel. And I think social judgment is something that is really hard to cope with. And I dealt with that in the first 30, 40, I'm still dealing with it and it makes me uncomfortable, but I feel like I kind of flipped the switch of like, hey, it's okay. People will think what they think. And as long as it makes you happy and you're growing and you're learning about yourself, then you're in a good spot. So that's kind of where I am. I'm pushing way outside my comfort zone and I'm learning every day.
For sure, man. And yeah, if you ever need any advice on that, let me know. I mean, for me, like I've been creating content now for like a little bit over a year. And I agree, like at the beginning part of it, it is weird. You're like looking at yourself, right? You're hearing yourself talk, especially for me, like I'm on multiple different platforms. Some of the experiences are like, what am I doing right now? Like, but at the same time, I can tell you it's definitely in the long term, like really rewarding. And like the worst case is you just like have an amazing place you can go and just watch your journey and what you did. And it just gives you like that forever type of legacy. So just some things from my end that I've really enjoyed about it. And I'm sure as you go on, man, like you've got like, I think from listening to your content, you've got that really good like tone to you where like people are going to start listening to your stuff and they're like, and they already are, right? And it's just something that just makes them feel better about themselves and want to do something after watching you speak for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, however long the video is. And then you're combining that with something in person too to connect people. So you're getting a lot of different areas that I think are just like really great from it, man. And I'm excited to see where your page is going to be at in like a year, 2 years, whatever the case may be, for however long you really want to do it, truthfully.
Yeah, I agree. And I appreciate you saying that. I think I will say is people have asked me if it's real, like the energy in my videos, it's authentic. Like if you ever come out and run, I mean, we've run together, so
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
definitely real.
like,
I can test that.
like it's real, and I'm not trying to put on a show or an act. Like the energy that I experience when I'm running is really a strong feeling, and when I'm with other people it's even stronger, and I'm energized by other people and the social connection I make when I'm running, and that's what I try and put out in my videos. And people may not like it, people may think it's fake. It's truly real. It's how I feel. So it's the real feeling, it's the real me.
I love that, man. That's awesome. And yeah, I mean, I think that's the most important part about it, because I think once you start like shifting away from who you are and rather doing something to impress an audience or speak towards a certain agenda, that's when I think people fall away from it and don't feel like they're enjoying it. So I recommend you just like keeping yourself out there, and I think that'll allow you to do it for the long term, man. Um,
Yeah.
but I'd be really curious too, like outside of content creation, outside of running, obviously it sounds like you do some other fitness stuff. I assume you work full time right now. Like, what is like some things about like your personal life that you're willing to open up about look like for those who may not know?
Sure, I'm an open book. So it's funny, like in the public eye, in terms of TikTok and what I'm doing, it seems like I'm running all the time and
Yeah.
that this is my full-time job and this is what I do. This is like 1% of my brain share, which is also really crazy. It's my passion, but I spend 99% of my time focusing on a few different things. I work for a living. I'm a software engineer by trade, so I can code, and don't come near me because I might hack you. And our phones touch, maybe you'll have all your information. I'm just kidding. Um, I'm also a product manager, so if you can tell, I can talk. So normally the like progression, but from a software engineer into a product manager is a software engineer that can speak and interface with key stakeholders and people on a business team. So that's what I do. And I've transitioned to a venture capital firm that invests in pre-seed startups and also builds pre-seed startups ideas. So I'm taking my coding skills and my talking skills and brought it to the venture world, and it's really interesting.
I love that. Yeah, no, that's a really cool career path. I'm over at Salesforce, so I'm doing technology
Nice.
too. I'm not on the IT side of things, more on the sales side of things, but I can definitely respect that, man. And product manager, that makes a lot of sense for you. Because I was gonna say, there's no way this kid just simply sits behind a desk all day.
No, I don't. I run around and I talk to people. And, part of my job in the venture world right now is just meeting really cool people and talking to them about what they're really excited about and their biggest pain points. And I'm trying to foster relationships with other really like-minded people, so that way one day we can invest in what they're building. So that's really exciting, and that gets me away from behind the desk and at coffee shops and running around. And recently, I have been putting on running shoes and running to my meetings, which has been really exciting.
That's great, man. I sometimes do that myself. Not necessarily running to meetings, but like if I work from home a lot, if I gotta like grab lunch, I'll like run to grab lunch because I'm just like,
Yeah,
fuck it.
why
Like
not?
that's
Exactly. Well, I literally was running around all day today, and that's part of the reason why I was like, we got to do this remote, because I've been literally running around everywhere today from 7:30 to now. So
yeah. I'm curious too. So you said you moved to New York City, what, 3 years ago from Boston?
about 6 years ago.
6 years ago? Nice. So like, I'm curious because I've been in New York for about a year and a half now. Talk to me about like your experience living in New York City, what that lifestyle's like for someone who might be here or may not be here, and some advice you might have for someone who would be interested in the New York City lifestyle for someone who's been here for 6 years.
Yeah, that's a great question, and I get this a lot from my friends that are thinking about moving here, friends of friends that have siblings that are considering moving here. Two things. One, the scene is really dinner centric and drinking centric. And if you are someone that's really fit, it can be off putting. Let me rephrase that. Someone that likes fitness, it can be pretty off putting. And then also with weather conditions in the winter, it gets pretty cold and it's hard to get outside. So it's really important to find the things that you like, whether it's a fitness class or find a community of other people that want to do the same thing as you. So that way, when you do want to get out and run, you have a group of people to do it with.
Yeah.
Hashtag endorphins, right? So I think it's really important to do that. The city can feel really big and it can feel like it's a daunting place to live if you don't have your outlet and you don't have the places that you like to go. So I found a really great yoga studio that I go to 3, 4 times a week. And that's kind of my mental outlet. And I get to sweat it out. And then I have this running group now that I run with. And in the past, I've had other running groups. And if you surround yourself with people that are like-minded, you'll be in great shape. And I think that's the key to success in living in New York, because if you don't have that community of people, it feels like you're kind of just a number. And I would definitely recommend finding a group so that way you can have that outlet.
That's some great advice. Yeah, I mean, I definitely hear you when you were talking about it's a city where there's a lot of like drinking culture, going out to eat culture, because that's like in front of your face at all times. You walk down the city and that's what you see. And that's where most of the people you meet and interact with are going to want to hang out. But I think it's so important, right, to just like find people that have similar interests to you. You obviously do a really good job at it. And I myself, I do it too, but you have to go after that, right? It doesn't just come to you automatically.
Yeah. Well, once you identify what you like, you go after it.
Oh, I want to talk about yoga too, because I know you brought that up. I've actually never really gotten into yoga too much, but I know a lot of runners really enjoy it. I hear a lot about the mental health aspect of it. Walk me through yoga a little bit and what led you to join and how that experience has been for you so far.
Yeah, well, yoga is really complementary to running. When you put a huge load on your body, it's really important that you're stretching and that you're making sure you're taking care of your muscles and your body. So, yoga is a really good place for runners to, one, stretch it out and make sure that they're taking care of themselves, but also it's strength. It's like a lot of strength. It's deep poses and difficult kind of positions that really builds up strength in your muscle groups, like in your core, in your legs, and in your upper body. So it's actually a great workout as well. There's a breathing component to yoga that makes it feel really good and therapeutic for mental. Like I leave and I feel on top of the world. I feel so good. I feel my body tingling. There's something about, especially in the wintertime when you sweat it out and you're in a 105-degree room and you sweat so much and then you walk into the brisk cold, that just feels really good. So it's been a key component of my kind of grateful lifestyle that I spoke about earlier. And I recommend it to anyone. I'll go with anyone. The other thing about yoga that there's kind of this misconception around is you don't have to be good at yoga. There's literally no such thing as being good at yoga because it's an ongoing practice and everyone's working towards getting better. So it can be really uncomfortable when you don't have experience doing it because you don't think you're good or you're not flexible enough. I go in there, I'm like one of the most non-flexible, inflexible, unflexible people. And I go out and I do my thing. Sometimes I lie on my back and breathe for half the class. And I have no shame in that. And once you can kind of flip a switch there and go in with an open mind, yoga is an amazing outlet for a lot of different reasons.
That's great, man.
You
I
should go sometime.
I think I'm gonna check it out because honestly, like I think the stretching component of it is so big. You know, being so busy, sometimes you just forget about stretching. And I know that when I'm not stretching enough, that's when the soreness comes in. Those are when the injuries come in. So being in a class that really forces that as well as increases some strength too, never a bad thing with that, as well as I couldn't agree more with the mental side of things. I mean, running can be incredibly draining and both mentally and physically, right? I'm sure you've dealt with that. I deal with that all the time. And having something that you walk out of with all that energy and feeling great, I think that's really important. So I'll keep everyone posted on how that goes for me. But
Let's go for a class.
I would. I mean, where do you go? I'm
I
curious.
go to a place called Fierce Grace in Lower East Side, but I'll
Okay.
go anywhere. I know there's some people in the endorphins community that are instructors
Mhm.
that have been trying to get me to come out. So maybe we'll use that as an opportunity to go visit them. It's just a great experience. And, I want to be around people that are open to trying new things. So if you want to come, let's do it, man.
For sure, man. Awesome. We'll do. Yeah. And then I'm also curious too from your end. I mean, you obviously, I think what's so great about you is the fact that you love connecting with people, you love being with like-minded people. From these experiences, what would you say, like either tips or what have you learned from all these different interactions, from different people that have really helped grow you in your personal life?
Yeah, I think people want to share connection with other people and people want to be heard and people want to be around other people that like the same things. It's not that crazy of a concept, but when you do bring people together around the same concept, I mean, think about people that talk about blockchain or cryptocurrencies. When they start talking, it's like they ride a crazy high.
Yeah.
Same thing goes for any like mind. Like you have someone that loves Harry Potter, they talk, find another person that loves Harry Potter. It's a great feeling. So I think that's the power of what we're doing with endorphins, just bringing people around the same kind of concept and shared love for running, and good things are happening. And people, like when we take pictures during the runs, people are smiling and they're happy because they're with other people that are going through the same experiences, or they can learn from, or they can share their kind of crazy vulnerable moments with. And that's what it's all about, man. And if you can do that in other components of your life too, that's where you're going to kind of be able to push yourself beyond where you are today. If you're around people that don't like the same things, it's really difficult to grow. because you're not all striving towards the same goal. So that's kind of what I'm all about. And I love meeting other people that are striving to do big things, because everyone is. And if you're not around those people, you're not kind of doing yourself a service.
That's awesome. Really, really great answer there. I mean, you're giving me so much good advice that's even helpful for me. And I know we're gonna have people on who are gonna really appreciate all this advice, man. One last thing I want to ask you before we tell people where to find you. For you, and we're not gonna hold you to it, but you seem like someone that obviously you have a lot of different areas in life that you're working towards, and just like finding happiness as well as success, whether it's work, fitness, the endorphins running group that you obviously put together. What would you say, as we, two questions on this actually? I'm going to do one at a time because I don't want to overcomplicate it. First question being like, what would you say are like some big goals you have for yourself for the end of the year, or to start next year off right, whether it has to do with professional life, personal life, social life, whatever it may be? I'd just be really curious to hear about like some of your goals and what drives you.
Sure. So one thing that is a life goal of mine is I want to complete all 6 of the world major marathons. I guess that's running, but it's also kind of a personal goal. The last race that I want to run is going to be the Boston Marathon. I'd love to qualify for it. I know I spoke about how pace doesn't matter, but that is something that I definitely want to achieve at some point. It's a really lofty goal that I've had in the back of my mind, and I verbalize to my friends, and I get vulnerable with them in the sense that I tell them what I want to do and how it's going to be tough, and I tell them how I really want to achieve that goal. And I think that's a first step. So I would love to do that. And then I also have this 50-mile race, which is like in 2023, that I'm way out in front of my skis. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I think I'll learn more about myself in that 12-hour period of time that I'm on my feet than I probably have in my entire life. So I'm going to push myself well beyond my limit, and I'm going to learn a ton about myself. And I think the process that I'm going through right now to prepare for it is a really instrumental process for me, because I'm in the pursuit of so many different really lofty goals that I don't really care about the destination. I care more about the process. And I spoke about this earlier. It's not about the finish line for me. It's really about getting to that finish line, and anything that happens on that day is really a blessing for me. So I'm just excited about that process, and I'm bought into the process, and I wake up every day grateful that I'm healthy, that I can run. And I think that's where my mind is right now. That didn't really answer your question. I talked about some of my running goals, but they're kind of personal goals too. Like, again, I'm not here for as a runner. Like, I want to grow and I want to be process oriented, and I'm excited for the journey, not about the race.
Yeah. No, I mean, that really did answer my question. And I really love your goals, man. I mean, obviously some of them are going to be harder than others, but it's all about that journey, all about that process. That's what I look at when I'm doing anything. I'm obviously, I think we talked about it. I'm trying to get that sub 3 myself and be able to qualify for Boston. And it's got its highs and its lows, right? I can side with you in the sense that running just for the passion and the joy of it compared to the time on the watch has so many benefits, and I miss that a lot because I've been working towards this goal for so long. But also getting to that point where you like have that full on journey, and then you also have that great moment combined together, and you can like look back at everything you did to get where you want to be, is also really special. So I think they both have their benefits. And I think for people who are listening, it's just like about what works for you and what's going to allow you to have a lifestyle where you can just be healthy and happy, whether that's being super competitive or casual with anything you do in fitness, business, whatever it may be. And I mean, another question I did want to ask with, going on with the theme of what's to come here, Thanksgiving on Thursday, been asking a lot of people this. What would you say, you're especially thankful for this year as we go into the holiday season here?
Yeah, I'm really thankful for some of the people in my life that I can be vulnerable with, people that I can call up and tell them exactly how I feel, whether it's about my personal, professional, or running goals, and know that they'll listen to me, and know that I'll be on the other end when they have a tough time. And having that community of people that I really trust is important for me, because it allows me, again, to push myself and step outside my comfort zone. And it's not easy to do, but I'm really thankful for those people in my life. And I've have a few really close friends that I can lean on. And that's the most important thing to me. My family as well. I haven't spoken about my family at all here, but I lean on them in really tough times, and they're there for me and I'm there for them. And just having that source of inspiration, but also kind of reality with my close friends and family is really important to me. So that's what I'm most thankful for right now.
That's great, man.
I'm
Yeah.
also really thankful for my health. Like without my health, I'm
See
not
that.
a happy person. I was injured for about 3 weeks in the past couple months, and I just wasn't the same human. Like my energy was low. My professional colleagues knew that I wasn't myself. My friends knew I wasn't myself. So um, I'm really thankful for my health.
Awesome. Yeah, all super important things, all very relatable. So thank you for sharing that. I think really, unless is there anything like final thoughts that you want to bring up before we let people know where to find you and more information about the Endorphins project?
Pace doesn't matter. Love the process, not the destination. There's no such thing as a finish line, and let's get after it, baby.
Get after it. Cool, man. Well, for those who want to check out you, I know you're on TikTok. That's where like your mainstream of content is. Where do they go ahead and find you? And are there any other platforms that you're posting any like running content or just TikTok right now?
Just TikTok. You can follow me on Instagram. It's the same handle at Swartzcenter. I would love it if people checked out the Endorphins community and gave me their feedback, like what they liked, what they don't like, their suggestions. Again, it's community led. So if you do have feedback, we'll incorporate it in our next community vote, and we'll see what the people say. And if people love it, we'll incorporate it. And if they don't, that's all right too. So yeah, I would love it if people check that out, because that would mean a lot to me. And I'd love to actually take people from that community and bring them in person so we can run together. That would be the best thing. If people want to run, let's do it.
Absolutely. And people who want to get involved, correct me if I'm wrong, just go on your TikTok. You got the link in your bio, and then you're able to fill out some information, and then you get all the emails with all the meetups and whatnot, and then you're able to, have your voice be heard there essentially, right?
You got it.
Awesome. Great. Well, Tyler, thank you so much. This was so much fun, man. Seriously connecting with you and having this conversation. I mean, it was so nice meeting you a couple weeks back, but having this one-on-one really impactful. And I know a lot of people are going to appreciate this, and hopefully a few people or more, I'm sure they will, who are listening will come meet us at the, some of these Endorphin Project runs, or at least just be involved with some of your content for years to come. But again, thank you so much, man. And I hope for the
Thank
best
you.
over the next couple months. And I'll be seeing you soon.
Yeah, I can't wait. Thank you for having me. This was a really cool experience.
You got it, brother. Thanks.